Now, just straightened up a few little colours there after I dried it, which you will do as well, okay? And just so as I can apologise there, on that CD, sorry, that's the famous Julie Feeney. Was singing with my nephew Kevin. How could I make that mistake? It was my niece, all right, did practice runs with Kevin, but when he did the actual CD, it was that amazing singer Julie Feeney. We all love her as well. Now to get back into this, okay, we're going to start up here again. You can see the way it's all coming together. Isn't it lovely? Some little highlights up here on this hedgerow and some more little shadows. So basically we're going to get our little highlights. Look, I have my messy palette here, which is lovely. I love looking at these palettes because I get ideas for abstracts from that. Okay, we're going to put that there. Then we're going to have a little bit of yellow down here and a little bit of green again. And we start messing up this palette. And this is going to be our little highlights. Okay, I'll show you now exactly where we're going to go with these. A little bit of water as well. And we just want a few little highlights on the top of this hedgerow, okay? We'll see it now. As soon as we start doing it across here like this. And if you think they're too strong, you just bring them back in. With a little rub from your finger or from whatever, a cloth or something. You'll see them, they just fade in a bit, tiny bit, you know, little dots as well. We don't want, you know, as if just the sunlight, that wonderful sunlight in the south of France is just dappling a few little rays onto it, okay, in certain areas. Now, can you see the effect? Okay, I went down a bit too far there with it. So we'll get that, just rub that back. With my magic cloth, as you know, there's only one of these in the world. One magic cloth. There you go. I have to hide it just in case somebody tries to steal it on me. Now, okay, we're going to go back in with our little bits of greenish yellow and just dapple it in there just a little bit. Don't go down too far again. A little bit with my finger, you know, you can paint with anything basically, you know, anything. As long as you can make a mark with your colour and it makes sense to you, that's what you do, you know, that's what you use. Because we're called mark makers, you know, that's basically what we do. And remember, as I said, I think in another video, that every painting is just made up of abstract marks. If you isolate the little marks, it's an abstract painting. It's nothing more than abstract painting, every single painting. And the best example of that is if you look at, are you okay, Miriam? Yeah? No, sorry, that was just my wife calling in there, bringing me a cup of tea. But I'll show you now. Thanks very much. If you leave it there, I'll have it now in a minute. I just have to finish this. Now, bring it across. Oh yeah, it's Rembrandt. Look at his portraits. Look at his paintings. His brush strokes are abstract works in themselves. They're just brilliant. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to clean that off, and then we're going to go for the dark green underneath that, just to get a bit of shadow underneath it. You have your green up here again. A little bit of deep turquoise, okay? Deep turquoise, just to get that shadow into it. We're forgetting about the cobalt blue this time, because the turquoise is part of our palette, okay? So that's fine to be able to use that. See? Now, you see we have little shadows here, regular shadows underneath, which really give that depth to it. And we bounce along, okay? Can you see it? Bouncing along. We're not doing a line as such. We're doing that sort of staccato in musical terms again. Higgledy-piggledy staccato all the way down to the edge here. Okay, can you see that? Right down, little dots there, and it gives that effect. It brings some of them up a bit higher, maybe where the shadow is more emphatic than other areas, okay? Can you see that? Up there like that and in there like that, okay? Okay, can you see that idea with your little shadows now? Perfect. Don't need to do any more with that. You can see the way it's all coming together. Now we want to get our little highlights on these little areas here, these little ridges. And we're going to go back to my really fancy palette, which I love, and a little bit of yellow. We're going to transfer it over to the new palette, I think, just in case it gets dirty. And we're going to put it here on this, and with a dry brush, when I use a dry brush, I don't use any water with it at all. And the dry brush drags the colour over the underneath colour, and you have a sort of combination of the two of them. The green peeps through. Because we want to get these ideas here, of these little yellow highlights again, you know, to mirror the highlights on the hedgerow. And then again, if it's too strong, you just rub it in with your finger again. You know, it's not a continuous line. They're nice and loose. Some of them are, there's gaps. Some of them go into the dark shadow area. Okay, can you see the idea? Coming up here with the, I'm using the edge of the brush as well, flat, not getting a continuous line. Okay, can you see that? Gives it a lovely little bit of relief, doesn't it? At the top, another little sense of light coming in. Maybe last year the lavender was grown over there in that direction and it's left its mark. You know, for centuries to come probably, archaeologists could, you know, the aerial archaeology that they do, again they could see these contours in the grasses. Anyway, that's another lesson. Okay, but forget about that. Now we have that area there, okay, and next we're going to go on to these lovely blossoms here because we want to get a little bit of shadow. We're going to jump around now, go to these next and get back up to the house. We want to get a little bit of shadow into the blossoms in the foreground as well, and we're going to get that by using our lovely magenta light with a little bit of the fantastic dioxine. Okay, can you see that? Yummy. Turns a lovely purple. You see that? Have you got that? That was your dioxine purple with the magenta light. If your paint box, you know, if you don't have this magenta light, use a red and just, you know, make it light red, dark red. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be magenta. As I said, explore different palettes. And the idea is we're going to get this idea, a little curve here again, and just add these little strokes to get the idea of shadow area here up towards the foreground in the blossoms, okay? And you have those nice gaps as well. Don't come up as far as your shadow areas in the dioxine on its own. Just stay sort of a step below that, okay? You'll see the effect. And the same on this side here, you want to get that effect. I'm bouncing around again with my brush. I'm not actually painting on. I'm dabbing with the brush stroke. You know, the stroke is a thing. It's like you're conducting an orchestra maybe. Some type of orchestra can understand your directions with your dabbing, okay? And you can see the idea where it is. It's getting that effect of a shadow area in the pinks, okay? Can you see that? There you go, up there like that. In there, a little more on this one here as well. Might have to mix a little bit more just to show you how to get this idea. These are all very important things. These are showing you like color mixing as well, shadows, highlights. It might seem a very basic painting, but there's a lot that goes in that you can learn from it, and it'll be self-discovery as you go ahead and do it, okay? I can only show you a certain amount, and the rest you will learn. I guarantee you will learn as you progress, as you go along. Okay, can you see this idea now? And getting a little bit in there as well. And then the idea is we have this sort of little we're finishing off in a sort of a semicircular, well, yeah, it's a little arc of shadow in this area as well. And it's sort of coming around like this. Can you see that? I went in there. Doesn't matter, we can get rid of that. But it sort of echoes the deep purple dioxine as well. See the way that goes in there like that? Cool. And you want to get out to the edges of these little blossoms here because they're all in shadow. Don't leave a little halo or a little aura around them. They're all in shadow leading up to the foreground. So you need that right out to the edges of them to get that effect, which I know you will get. Okay, can you see that idea? Okay, good. We're nearly there with that. Now we're going to just jump onto another color while we're here, while I have you. And we're going to get back to our light permanent blue. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of our portrait pink to it, okay? Because we're going to have a little excitement here on the side of the house, just to show you. Pick it up there now so as you can see it. Now here we go. The light blue is on my brush already. Put some pink into it. A little bit of portrait pink, okay? Can you see that? And we don't want to water this down either, okay? We want to have it a dry brush as such, okay? That's the way we're going to do it. Now, I'll show you now. Let's clean off the brush, have it a dry brush, and we're going to start getting a few little highlights here on this building in the forest. If the sun is just reflecting off, you want to drag it, or you don't want too much on it, okay? What you put on there, just leave it on it, and then just spread it out a little bit yourself, you know, even with your finger like this. It's almost a little reflective quality on the wall of the building itself. Okay, you don't want to do too much of it. And then you're going to do a little bit here as well on this. Just a tiny bit of it, just a reflective quality, okay? This is before we put in the windows, before weather glaze go in at all. Yeah, that's that. Okay, then we're going to get little shadow areas underneath the roof and dividing it. Shadow area on the roof, under the roof. And what we're going to do with that is we're back to our manganese, okay? And we're back to another little wash. It's not the manganese, you know, it wasn't the manganese, but you know what? The brilliant blue is just going to work as well. The manganese, just thinking about it, might be a bit too dark. So this is our brilliant blue, okay? Have you got that? Now, watch this. I'm going to lean on this again with my hand, and we're going to have a nice little line across here. A shadow area under the roof, okay? Just coming across like that, a little wash, that's all it is. It's as simple as that. Simple as that, just a little wash there. And then the same idea, little wash coming across here. And we stop at the edge there of that wall. And we bring down a line like so. You'll see when I move my hand out of the way. Because we want to get the idea of, well, obviously, it's a step back. That building is behind, slightly step back from it. Can you see the idea? The two little shadows, the way they separate. Okay, going all the way across there, like that. Okay. Can you see it? Cool. Okay, that's what we want to do. And then what we're going to do is, which I didn't have on my list, I should have, I just omitted it the way I normally do. We're going to have a cadmium red light, okay? And with our little brush again, I'll just show you now. I'll pick it up again. I'm going to add some water to this. Get it nice and flowy, not too flowy. We don't want it transparent or too thick. And we're going to start putting vertical lines into the roofs, okay? Just to show you, I'll have to move out of the way. I'll show you this. Vertical lines with little gaps between them. And it really shows up the idea of tiles or whatever in the distance. Now we put no other colours into it, but that's just, to see the idea with that there, yeah? And then the same here, we're going to go with the one on top. Again, all the way across like so, like that, yeah. Little gaps, can you see is my head? My head in the way, no, you're okay. These don't have to be straight lines either, because the tiles are lovely curved tiles on these roofs, these French. You'd see them on the continent, you know, they're lovely finishes on them. Now, can you see that idea? Grand, well that's what we're going to do there. We have that in, that's starting that area there as well. And then we're going back to our cobalt blue, which we have over here. Okay, a little bit of cobalt blue here. Put it up here so as you can see it with all the other colours. Look, see, it's lovely, isn't it? And we don't want it too watery either, because we're going to put in our two little windows to show you. See, there's two little windows, long rectangular windows, but they're not going to be architecturally correct. We're just putting in two little lines, okay? I'll show you how to. I'll just have to move it a tiny bit over here for me. We try and keep it vertical with the edge of the canvas, okay? And start in the shadow. In the shadow, go up into the shadow like that. Don't lean on the brush. Just bring it down. Whatever width you could get, just bring it down like that. Just try and square it up a little bit, but it doesn't have to be completely square, because this is a painting. It's not an architectural drawing. Okay? We're going to bring it up here again. This one up here. Just because I ran out of paint, I just had to load it up again. And if you slow this down, you can see my hand shaking as well, because it's so tiny, this area. And we just want to get that little effect of these lovely little windows that were, I don't know whether they were to let in a certain amount of light or whatever, but of course, you know, they could have been a lot bigger than this. It was just so wide. It was just my imagination running away with me again. So can you see that idea there? Those two little windows, okay? Could be even a little idea of a church or a whatever, you know, something like that, a sacristy maybe. And then while we have the cobalt blue there, a little wash of the cobalt blue then. Little wash of it. Have you got that, yeah? Little wash of it. And we're going to bring it right under the edge of the roof, just to get a little heavier shadow. And we don't want this really too perfect, this line, because as I keep saying, those tiles are nice and uneven. Now, do you see that? See that? Same on this side here. A little bit under the, just under the roof, line going across there like that. Okay, a little bit wider than that, and maybe a little bit going in there as well, because of the, it's set back from behind the other one. Okay, so we have that there, so we can see that. Okay, now next then we have our blues there, which we put in. Oh yeah, we have to do our cobalt blue shadow in the trees as well. There's a little bit of area in the trees here, see it? And it's a wash, and it just adds another little je ne sais quoi. I mean, the Impressionists love putting in these little blue areas within shadows, and it gives them another life or whatever, you know. It brings it alive, and it brings a lovely contrast to it. And this is your cobalt blue, which is the base of the painting, you know, which brings it to life, which is peeping through in certain areas still, bring it right up to the edge of your building there. And it's little dabs of strokes. You're not painting it on, and then it disappears as it goes over there. It's reflective, inspirational color again. Okay, can you see it? Can you see it appearing there like that? See the way it pushes those back as well behind it. Okay, so we have our highlights on the hedgerow, highlights here. We have to get highlights into the blossoms now as well. And then we're going to get another little colour in here for the distant part of the furrows. And guess what colour it's going to be? It's going to be my cobalt blue again. We have it here. But we're actually going to go back to our sky colour, okay? Which is a lovely blue violet. And you're going to mix in a little bit of the blue violet just to lighten it. I'll show you now to pick it up. This is your blue violet. And we're going to, a little bit of blue violet in with the cobalt, I should say. Can you see that? Just to bring it up a tiny bit, okay? And we're going to check it first now, because we're going to start at this end. We're going to see, no, it's not light enough yet. We have to get it lighter than the cobalt blue that's already there. A little bit more, sorry, I just had to lift it up there. Yeah, a little bit, that should do it. Now, that should do it, I'd say. And then we're going to start adding these little dots as well, like as if the earth is, you know, it's in clumps, and as it comes up towards that, they disappear because the light is in the distance. Okay, the same here, close together in the distance, close together. I'm doing two at a time here, and then as it comes up, disappears, and then there, the same here at the very edge. And then the idea with this is we want a little curve in that sense going around this way to mirror the other curves. So this one will be slightly longer up to there. So we have it close in the distance and then break it up as it comes up there for the longest one, okay? Then we have them close, the dots of colour in the distance, and then we start the little curve here. It's going back over this way. Close again in the distance to get as if there's a little highlight there, and then it disappears as it comes up there. We can bring a few more down there like that. And all of these little subtle things that seem like nothing to you, you're learning something from all of these little touches as you go along. You'd say, oh yeah, I can see that idea now. It breaks it up, that curve gives it another movement. Okay, well, you can see that, can't you? Brilliant. And then while we have that coloured there, our blue violet, we're going back to our small square, which is another favourite, as you know. Going back into the blue violet, okay, it's up here, the blue violet, can you see that? And we're going back and we're getting our pink, where's it gone? Where's the pink? Okay, did somebody take the pink? There it is. Our light magenta, I should say. I'm going to have it here like this. I'll show you now what we're going to do. And before we're going to mix in the blue violet with the light magenta, okay, can you see that? A lot stronger. It makes it, well, less strong, I should say, with that. And what we're going to do is, we're going to just introduce a few little clouds on top, okay? And we start it like so, very loose. We don't even think about it as we do it. We just let them grow and say, okay, I want it to disappear in that direction, yeah? Because we've so much happening down here. Let sky go off into the distance, but we can still give it a little sense of colour, okay? And maybe a soft breeze as well, blowing these diaphanous clouds off into the distance, you know, as we travel down through France, you know, beautiful. Can you imagine it? I did the vendage as well years ago, painting. Well, I didn't. I tried to, when I was doing it. I was picking grapes, and many years ago, had a fantastic time. A friend of mine probably told. I'll tell you about it at some stage. Okay, now, did you see those? Was I thinking about those? No, I was telling you about the vendage, picking grapes in the south of France while I was doing that. And that's what makes that successful. You don't think about clouds. You just let them happen as you go along. Can you see that? That's all you need there. Few little, oh, beautiful little wispy clouds. Can you see them? And what the difference they make. Okay, you have those there? Grand. Now we can come back here. We take up our little thin brush again, because we can see that well, all of these colours really, they will be reinforced, but I just notice it now. But our cobalt blues, just have to reinforce them here, make them stand out, because when they dry, cobalt blue is by nature as well transparent. Okay, now do you see that there? It's just to bring out that lovely sense of, oh, look at me, I'm in inspirational shadow here, and I'm going up a little bit onto that, and then I'm disappearing here, because I don't want to take your attention away from everything else. That's what the blue is saying. Okay, now can you see that idea, the blue there? Grand. And while we have our blue here, I'm going to put a little bit more onto the palette, a little bit there. We can start introducing it into the middle section here, just to break up our basic cobalt blue underneath. Breaking it up there, just add a few little tones there, a few little tones there, a few little tones there. And then we're going back to our portrait pink. Okay, portrait pink, here we go. Because you're going to see now what I'll do with that. That's what happens with the lovely lavender blossoms in the distance. Over there, see it beside the yellow. See the way all these interact beautifully? Look, this is why we chose this palette. See, there's even a reason for choosing these colours. Now, and then we start adding, in the distance, start with this one, a few little dots of the lighter tone. And it's giving the sense of light in the distance. And they disappear as they come up along. Okay, they disappear into the light magenta then. We just want another tone, you know, another tone. It's all about tones, and it's all about lovely celebration of colour. Okay, we're coming up there as well, and we're coming up this side as well. Look up here and into this one, disappears then. A few little strokes there just to make it a bit more interesting. They're slightly bigger towards the foreground. Okay, same here on the last one, and going off like that, like so. Okay, and we don't have to go with our little curves that we're using in the highlights and the shadows there, because this is a slightly different technique. But you can see the idea now, can you? Can you see the way it's coming together? Because you're going to finish yours exactly like this as well. Basically, that is it. We can't do any more with it. The only thing that we will do is maybe we're just going to add a tiny little bit of orange. Excuse me if you don't have orange, which I can't find here anyway. We're going to have to use a little bit of the yellow that I have. And we're going to put a little bit of a highlight onto this outside of the roof here, like this, like a little bit of sunlight, as if the sunlight is just hitting off these little tiles, okay, and glistening in that lovely sunlight. Okay, and it's just to give it a little lift like that. Okay, tiny lift on one side only. That's all we want to do there, and basically you have everything there. Now I'll go back and I'll work it up a little bit more, but I think what we're looking at there is what we set out to achieve, and the rest now is up to you. And you know, if you have any questions about anything, about any of the colours, about the mixtures, but if you don't have these colours, just ask me in the WhatsApp group or ask me on YouTube. And if you see it on YouTube, just give us a like as well. I hope you really enjoyed it, because I did, because this was one of my favourite paintings of all time. Okay, we'll see you next time. Take care, thanks, bye.